So, one of the most quoted books over the last 10,000 years is Homer's Odyssey. And it is a beautiful and inspiring poem with all sorts of fantastic life lessons in it. One of the greatest lessons, in fact, is at the very end. And most people miss it. Well, because they actually never get there, or because in some translations, the final lesson is actually cut off or ignored entirely. It is what Odysseus does after he finally makes it home. Spoiler alert in case you haven't read it and actually plan to. Now, Odysseus is at the end of this wild and terribly exhausting odyssey. He just spent 10 years battling in a horrific war at Troy, and then another 10 years of epic struggle and strife to make it finally back home to Ithaca, to retake his seat as king. Finally, he's home. He has been gone so long that his wife's hair is gone gray and his beloved dog is barely still alive. So what does Odysseus do almost immediately after finally making it home? He becomes restless and gets ready to leave again. Seriously, he attempts to explain this to his long-suffering wife by saying, quote, "Wife, we both have endured our share of trouble. You wept here as you longed for my return. But now that we have returned to our own bed, as we both long to do, you must look after my property inside the house. Meanwhile, I have to go on raids to steal replacements for all the sheep those swaggering suitors killed and get the other Greeks to give me more until I fill my folds." End quote. Isn't that insane? It was his restlessness and insatiable greed that got him and his men into all the trouble to begin with. It is what brought them to the brink of disaster time and time again. He cannot be at peace but for a moment. This is what I call the achiever's disease. Those who fight against happiness. As soon as things are solved, achieved, calm, at peace, they will create problems. They will stir things up on purpose to put themselves back in disarray. They are more comfortable in chaos. They go begging for trouble. And where there is peace and no trouble, they will invent it. Why is this? Well, Seneca said something to the effect, "We are trying to flee ourselves." That's what Odysseus was doing. He was trying to flee himself. Would you spend 20 years trying to get back to your life and the things that you said that you loved and longed for, and then leave the day after you arrived if you liked yourself and your life? You see, the war for Odysseus wasn't in Troy. The battle Odysseus was fighting was taking place inside of his own head and heart. Odysseus suffered an affliction. His restlessness was not positive ambition. It was a disease, one that had a complete grip on him. Unfortunately, I see this same disease in many of the minds and hearts of many successful and talented people. Not all, mind you, but many. The achievement drive that propelled their success has turned into an affliction. The drive that created their success has turned into a sort of madness or mania. They cannot be at all. They cannot enjoy anything because they are too obsessed about the next thing. Enough is never enough. They are playing on a field where the goal line is a mirage. They keep chasing the goal line, but never reaching it. And the faster they run, the further out it goes. What they don't realize is if they could just only be, but for a moment, they'd realize that the goal line would come to meet them where they are. All that they say they long for is right around them, only waiting for them to join in the present, in the now. Seneca also reminded us, there is no greatness if we cannot be. We must be able to be present, to be in and enjoy fully what is right here, right now. So I want you to write down in your Darren Daily Journal and in the comments below where you might be in your life right now acting like Odysseus and how you will go about being more fully present right where you are. Hey, I have to admit, there have been times in my life where I lived like Odysseus, always wanting more, never able to be still or fully present. It has taken me a long time and a lot of hard lessons to sit back and realize how to wrangle my ambition before it destroyed my life. there is an episode of Darren Daily On Demand that can help be your guide in this great challenge to help you gain control over the double-edged sword of ambition. Just click below and pick the platform that you choose to listen to it on. And while you are there, be sure that you're subscribed so you don't miss a single episode.
Welcome to Darren Daily On Demand, your most trusted resource to help you become better every day. Here's your success mentor, Darren Hardy.
Now, behavior repeated become habits, and this is the crux of the matter. Ultimately, that's what we're building here, is we need to build in new unconscious habits to take you where it is that you want to go. That's the third line of code in rewiring your operating system. Now, a habit, behavior repeated, becomes a neurosignature in your brain. Okay, we come in with no habits. We develop habits, but because we can develop habits, we can also develop new habits. The more you repeat a behavior, it becomes a neurosignature, what's called a brain groove. Okay? And our habits start out like cobwebs, but then they become thick as cables. And the hard reality to habits, which sucks, by the way, is that good habits are hard to create. Getting into an unconscious habit where you have to work out, where you have to follow up with patience, that's hard to create and it's easy to lose. 1 week or 2 week vacation and your workout habit is out the door. Or on the other side, bad habits, those are easy to create. You know, there's a special little cocktail that your friend has served you the week or two you're on vacation, you go home. It's going to be hard to break that habit. And bad habits are hard to change. It's like this, no matter what you're going to go about trying to change your habit, it'll be as difficult as trying to break substance abuse. Because substance abuse is a deeply ingrained habit. And so is any other habit that you have in your life. Just, I'm warning you that it will be difficult. It's like this. If you jump into a river that's running in one direction, you can just jump in and you'll be taken down the river with no effort whatsoever. That's like your existing habit patterns. No effort to go down the river. Now, if you decide that you're going to change those habits, and now you have to swim against the current of your habit, you could be working like hell, maybe making inches of progress, working like hell, because you're swimming against your habit pattern. Just, I want you to understand that this is going to be the difficulty you'll face when you turn on your existing habit patterns. And it'll take about 300 repetitions of a new habit to build a new neurosignature and not doing the previous habit that is taking you down the river. And unfortunately, willpower will not work. Willpower will fail 100% of the time over time. The reason why we have the biggest diet industry, $1 trillion industry in the history of humanity, yet we've never been more fat in the history of humanity, is because they all rely on willpower, and willpower will not work. So then you ask, well, what does work? The only thing that's going to work is what I call Y power. Y power is this. If I took a 300-foot steel beam and I laid it across the conference floor here, and I said, if you just walk on top of the beam from one side to the other, at the other end, I'll give you $20. How many people would do it? Easy $20. How many people would do it? Okay. Now, what if I took that 300-foot steel beam and I put it atop two 100-story buildings? And I said, hey, if you just walk from one end to the other end, I'll give you $20. How many people would do it now? But what if you're on one end and the other end is your child and the building is on fire? And if you don't go across that steel beam to rescue them, they will perish and die right before your eyes. How many people will go across that steel beam now? I did have one person in the front row say, which child? Which I thought was awfully mean. Now, I want you to recognize something. The first time I gave you that choice, you said, oh, hell no, no way, it's too risky, too dangerous. The second time I offered you the option, your hand shot up. And guess what? I didn't even offer you $20. What changed? The reason why to do it is all that changed. You see, when your reason why is white hot enough, it is deep down burning enough, you will overcome any obstacle, any adversity, any trapdoor in your way, you will overcome. if your reason why to do it is strong enough. That's what has to happen to have you go through this gauntlet of solicitations on the weakest part of your nature.
Hey, Darren here again quickly. I am so thrilled that you are enjoying the production of Darren Daily On Demand. I don't want you to lose sight of how important it is that you stay consistent or get yourself subscribed, if you aren't, to the every morning discipline of the actual Darren Daily. The transformational magic is in the process, not just the information or the big idea. It is in the ritual and routine to how you kickstart your day. It's calibrating your mind to focus on that one idea and apply it to that very day. Knowledge does not change your life. Behavior does. The action you take on that idea, one idea, each day compounded over time, is what creates the transformational results. Go to darrendaily.com if you're not already subscribed, and I will see you there bright and early tomorrow morning.